Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of March 10th to the 16th of 2025. All right, so a very important week astrologically as we come up to the lunar eclipse, which will be here on Friday. It is a south node lunar eclipse, which means it's really about releasing karmic energy, maybe some things from the past, some patterns from the past. But the lunar eclipse is very much like a full moon, which is more of an illuminating energy. We can become very aware of these things and perhaps make some important shifts and changes along our life journey. It is going to be right in between Virgo and Leo with the south node in Virgo, so likely leaning more towards that, and is going to be the last lunar eclipse in Virgo from this whole eclipse cycle that we're currently in. So very significant here, all about balancing the Virgo and Pisces energy, doing and being. This has been the theme for the past roughly 2 years now with this, finding balance between doing and being, work and rest, perfection, focusing on control and letting go of control, these sorts of personal development energies. So we have that going on. We also have Mercury going retrograde. That's going to be just after that on Saturday, starting the 3 weeks of starting to redo some things in the context of our day-to-day lives, in the context of what we've been normally thinking about, and good to just be very flexible with this coming up. We do have the Sun over Saturn leading up to those events. We have Mercury conjunct Venus coming up to that as well, and the Sun entering into more of that watery, receptive Pisces. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, March 10th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky on this channel, which is very different from mainstream astrology. In mainstream, they're not using the visible sky, they're using the seasons, at least in the West. And so this does change the signs very dramatically. If, for example, you were expecting me to say that the lunar eclipse is in exclusively Virgo, but you're hearing me talk about this sort of Leo energy as well, and it sounds off to you, definitely check out the link down below for more information on using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so let's definitely do a recap because we do, of course, have a lot going on astrologically. The most important, of course, being the lunar eclipse here. But we have the Sun finishing Aquarius literally as we come into the week, very early Monday, so shifting into Pisces on Monday. And so this is really shifting the focus. Now, we've already had a lot of Pisces energy already with Mercury and Venus here, specifically the fast movers here. Of course, Saturn has recently come in. Neptune's been here for a few years. So there is definitely a theme right now around Pisces. So Pisces, the fish, is all about connecting more with our soul, I would say, and the spiritual or soul or singular energies of life, right? Getting into the ethers, the 0 point, where everything's connected, right? This is the last Zodiac sign, very spiritual, very important. So the shift of focus more in terms of soul-fulfilling activities, where can we connect to things and people and situations in our life that are more soul-fulfilling, connecting more to what really matters to us deeply, right? We can call it spiritually. We can call it deeply emotionally. So it does make it a really good time for things, of course, like spiritual activities, also imagination, and simply just getting more receptive energy in our life, a little more peace, a little bit more going with the flow, a little bit maybe more rest and things like this. So starting to connect more with that, the space of life in the present moments. That Pisces helps us do. So with the Sun here, we've got the focus now for the coming weeks. And of course, we have a lot of activity here. Mercury about to go retrograde. Venus already retrograde in Pisces. So it's been already a good time to be connecting in this way. And what we're going to find with that Mercury retrograde is perhaps start to reconnect with that side of ourself, especially in our day-to-day life. Venus has been, Venus retrograde's been helping us do this in our relationships lately, and also in terms of what we value, helping us connect more to the, again, soul values of life and even the soul connections in our relationships. But with Mercury coming up, that's definitely going to play a role in reworking that for our day-to-day activities. So that's all of those fast movers. And then of course, Mars is just building momentum after his recent very long retrograde. And so he's still building momentum in Gemini. It's good to be direct right now with those communications. It's good to be very practical right now. And this is a very different energy from Pisces, these two squaring each other, both mutable signs, which both fundamentally deal with flexibility. Pisces helps us be more flexible by going more with the flow and be more receptive, right? We become more flexible this way. Gemini helps us become more flexible by being curious, interested, and willing to learn. Any way to combine these two mutable signs like this, I think, is a great way of working with this week, just generally. So let's go ahead and talk about Monday here. Again, we are building the momentum in the lunar cycle. The lunar eclipse will be on Friday. This is the heightened energy or the highest energy of the lunar month. And so we're just building momentum towards that as we come into the week. On Monday, no major aspects. The moon will be in Cancer, placing a theme around caring and protecting for ourselves and others. So creating that safe and secure environment here around Monday can be absolutely fantastic. As we do get into Tuesday, the moon will shift into Leo for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This makes it a good middle part of the week for self-expression. And likely themes around this, maybe having some fun, some playfulness, some creative energy, some lighthearted energy is likely the backdrop or the subtle theme of this middle part of the week, and at least just really good to work with the week that way. Be willing to express ourselves, be willing to have some fun, some playful energy. That's great with the moon in Leo. But we do have a lot of that activity in Pisces here with the, first of all, conjunction. So we have Venus retrograde conjunct Mercury on Tuesday going into Wednesday. This whole idea of more soul-guided life is really being activated here. It's how can we do this both in our relationship life, in our day-to-day life, and just fundamentally, again, see what we can value and how we can connect more to life in that receptive Piscean way. So Mercury and Venus can actually make it a good time to be perhaps rethinking maybe how we connect with others, how we communicate in the sense of Venus retrograde over Mercury, being aware of the value of connecting in general and the value of being open to learning and being curious and being interested. And again, connecting to our day-to-day life in a way that's more going with the flow, maybe more soul-guided, maybe a little more receptive. So we're definitely seeing some new beginnings coming out of this. This won't be the last of it, of course, as Mercury will go retrograde as well, but definitely a step in the right direction early this week for bringing in more of that receptive Pisces energy into the mix. Adding to that, as we get into Wednesday, the sun will pass over Saturn in Pisces. This is definitely more grounding. So Wednesday really starts the Sun-Saturn cycle, yearly cycle of patience, of perseverance, of discipline. And so anything we do want to start around the Wednesday time that is about seeing the long road, starting something new that maybe will take time, as in maybe multiple years, is really good. And this is all, again, in the context of Pisces, being that Saturn has just recently, these recent weeks, shifted into Pisces. So this is starting really a 3-year journey of building our life. So it is more, again, soul-guided, soul-connected. Saturn, the builder, going into the oceans of Pisces. And so really good with the sun here activating this. Even the lunar eclipse will be opposite this, activating this really 3-year new beginning towards building that receptive life and things like our careers, our achievements, our accomplishments to be more soul aligned. So definitely a new beginning with this here around the Wednesday time period. Now the lunar eclipse will be technically early Friday for most of us, but we'll certainly start to feel that as we get into Thursday. This late Thursday, early Friday time period, we will be in this eclipse energy. So it's going to be at the very end of Leo and at the very beginning of Virgo, technically closer to Leo than Virgo, but with the south node in Virgo, and this being really the last lunar eclipse of this Pisces Virgo axis, because this has been really close to 2 years, over 2 years of this particular kind of energy. it is really about wrapping up the Virgo stuff. So South Node in Virgo, these 2 years has been really about finding healthier ways and more balanced ways of doing Virgo things. Virgo is about improvement. Virgo is about our work. Virgo is about service, refinement, perfection, control. And so, of course, it's great to have control over what we do have control over in life, which is ourselves. It's great to be striving towards perfection, but we're finding these healthier ways of doing that. And this eclipse is really going to help us make this last final shift. And then as we get into probably the summertime, this will really finalize once the South Node does get closer to Leo. So status check, lunar eclipse, halfway point of the month, but also the halfway point of, in this case, the eclipse year, and doing a status check with how things are going on this front. How can we have a better, let's say, relationship with improvement? How can we have a healthier relationship with improvement and perfection and work and service and refinement and all these Virgo kinds of things? And this is, of course, all balanced by Pisces, being where the North Node is and where we're going to have the partial solar eclipse in 2 weeks. So Pisces with the North Node, balancing work with rest, balancing doing with being, balancing perfection or control with letting go of control, and again, going more with the flow and living a more receptive life. So we've talked a lot about this Pisces energy, but it's really about balance here, and it's all this balance of what we would say personal development, physical and spiritual, a balance between healthy approach to life, control, no control, healthier approach to our day-to-day life in many ways, work and rest, this kind of a thing, very important. So anything that's about doing a status check with this on the eclipse early Friday is fantastic. Making shifts and changes for at least the next 2 weeks in this context, but I would say really for the next 6 months till we get to the next set of eclipses, which will be then in the Leo and Virgo nodal axes. All right, so we talked about the Saturn-Neptune. The eclipse will be trining up to Uranus, so it's nice to see that Uranus is in support to this eclipse, helping us think outside the box, have new and different experiences, get outside of our comfort zone a little bit. We have a supportive energy for that. All right, so that's the lunar eclipse here. This is the Sun sextiling Uranus, which is the eclipse trining Uranus as part of it. Now, as we do get into Saturday, closer to Saturday, even late Friday, Mercury is going to start to slow down, go station retrograde on Saturday, again, starting the few weeks of reworking, rethinking. So this happens 3 times a year, but again, very significant, being all in this more receptive and spiritual sign, and coming out of, conjunct Venus retrograde as well. So really is retrograde time once Mercury goes retrograde, with 2 out of the 3 fast movers retrograde here. So being flexible, being willing to learn, going back and maybe redoing some things from the past, approaching things a little bit differently for the next few weeks. And just all in all, again, having that willingness to learn, flexibility, have a plan A, B, C, and D, but still doing things and still implementing things, just with, making sure we are flexible, is an absolutely great way of working with retrogrades, as we do learn a lot. We actually get a lot done, even though it might involve things from the past, people from the past, situations that we maybe tried before that we're going to do differently now, that can be very constructive. All right, everyone. So that is the week in a nutshell. Very important week astrologically, I would say. I think collectively we'll see some important shifts and changes this week. Again, all centered around that lunar eclipse on early Friday. As we approach Friday, it is the building of momentum, building of awareness, and then the days surrounding Friday, likely a shift of awareness, a bigger picture view in the context of what's likely finding balance between the Virgo-Pisces axes, the doing, the being, the work, the rest, etc. Releasing some karma with that, being aware of any karma or past patterns that we can approach differently now, being that it is a South Node lunar eclipse. So that's definitely the most important thing of the week. But of course, just keeping in mind that we've got, basically, to add to that, retrogrades. We've got Venus retrograde already all week, but going over Mercury on Tuesday, helping us learn new things, helping us connect to life in new ways, helping us connect to others and our relationships in new ways. And then once Mercury does go retrograde on Saturday, the day-to-day stuff, more of how we're communicating, how we're doing things on a more practical everyday level. And if you want to add to that, I mean, those are definitely the most important things. If you want to add to that, you know, the Sun over Saturn midweek helps us build some new foundations with some long-term things in our life. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for the live stream. We go live just a few hours every Sunday at 1:15 p.m. Eastern time, just a few hours after this upload. So hope to see all of you there, and have a great week, everyone. And I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.